Before we begin, if you are drawn to stories that feel too real to be fiction, too heavy to forget, then like this video, subscribe, and stay close. There are more of these accounts, and they do not get easier to hear. Also, tell me where you're watching from, and what time it is where you are. Tonight, you are not just a viewer, you are a witness. The forest did not welcome them. It never did. Even before the first footstep pressed into its damp soil, there was a stillness, a kind of listening. The trees, tall, ancient, indifferent, stood too close together, their branches weaving a ceiling that swallowed the sky. Light did not fall here. It dissolved. They entered anyway. It was supposed to be a crossing, a shortcut, a decision made in fading daylight when the horizon still whispered false promises of time. 3 men moving quietly, each carrying more than supplies, each carrying urgency. But the forest had its own sense of time, and it stretched. At first, nothing was wrong. The ground was soft, the air was cool. Their footsteps were muffled by layers of fallen leaves that had never fully decayed. Even their breathing seemed absorbed by the land itself. But then came the silence. Not the ordinary silence of wilderness, but a silence that removed something. No insects, no birds, no distant wind brushing through branches. Just absence. One of them stopped. He didn't speak. He simply turned his head slightly, as though trying to hear something that had already passed. The others noticed, and that was when the forest shifted from a place into a presence. The first sign of pursuit came without warning. A broken twig, not behind them, not ahead, but somewhere to the side, just out of sight. They froze, the air thickened, the silence deepened. Then another sound, closer this time, not loud, not aggressive, measured, intentional. They did not run, not yet. Instead, they changed direction. Subtle at first, a slight deviation from their path, a strategy built not on speed, but on uncertainty. If something was tracking them, they would not offer a straight line. The forest resisted. The terrain grew uneven. Roots twisted across the ground like veins. Low branches clawed at their clothing. Progress slowed, and the sounds continued. Never rushing, never stopping, always adjusting. Night came quickly. Not gradually, but like a door closing. Darkness in the forest was not simply the absence of light, it was weight. It pressed inward, reducing distance, shrinking space, distorting direction. They lit no fire. Fire draws attention. Instead, they moved, quietly, carefully, listening more than seeing. Hours passed, or perhaps less. Time had already begun to unravel. The sounds had changed, no longer a single presence. Now, multiple, separated, coordinated, closing. One of them understood first. This was not pursuit. This was containment. They altered their strategy. Instead of avoiding, they began to mislead. They split briefly, only for minutes, moving in opposing directions, leaving false trails before circling back. It worked. For a time, the sounds faltered, confusion, hesitation, but then adaptation. Whatever followed them, learned. Exhaustion set in. Muscles trembled. Breathing grew shallow. Thoughts became slower, heavier. The forest did not relent. It tightened. Paths seemed to repeat. Landmarks reappeared where they should not have been. The forest was no longer something they moved through. It was something that moved around them. The turning point came near dawn. A clearing, small, unnatural, the ground bare, the air colder. And in its center, footprints. Their footprints, layered, crossing, overlapping. Dozens of times. They had not been moving forward. They had been circling. The realization did not bring panic. It brought something worse, understanding. The sounds returned, closer than ever, no longer cautious, no longer subtle. There would be no escape, not from the forest, not from what hunted within it. And as the first light of morning failed to break through the canopy, the forest closed its distance. Slowly, completely. The desert did not chase. It waited. The heat began before the sun rose. It lived in the sand, in the stones, in the air itself, stored from days before, held like memory. They moved early, two figures against an endless horizon. No shelter, no shade, only distance. Water was already limited, measured, counted, feared. The desert stretched in all directions without variation. No landmarks, no features, just repetition. And yet, they felt watched. It was not a sound, not movement, but presence. Their strategy was simple. Move at dawn, rest at peak heat, move again at dusk, conserve, endure, survive. But the desert did not follow rules. The first miscalculation came with direction. The compass, unreliable. The sun, distorted by haze. Shadows, inconsistent. They adjusted, but each adjustment introduced doubt. And doubt is a slow poison. By the second day, water was reduced. By the third, speech had nearly stopped. Energy was no longer spent on conversation, only movement, only breath. Then came the tracks, not theirs, parallel, at a distance, always just far enough to remain unclear, but consistent. They changed direction, the tracks followed. They stopped, the tracks stopped. They moved again, the tracks resumed. This was no illusion. The desert had a second presence. They altered strategy, not speed, but pattern. Sharp turns, circles, sudden stops, each move designed to confuse. The tracks adapted, the distance closed, the heat intensified, not physically, psychologically. The air felt heavier, thicker. Breathing required effort, thinking required more. One of them stumbled, then again, then did not rise. There was no time, no energy, no choice. The other continued, alone. The tracks did not hesitate. By nightfall, the stars appeared, cold, distant, unhelpful. The desert changed, not cooler, just quieter. The presence drew closer. The final attempt at survival came with stillness. No movement, no sound, no indication of life. The desert held its breath. Then, footsteps, measured, approaching. The sand shifted, and whatever had followed no longer needed to hide. The ocean does not forgive mistakes. It remembers them. The boat was small, too small, but it was all they had. The storm did not arrive suddenly. It built, slowly, patiently, like something gathering strength. The sky darkened in layers, wind increased in increments. Waves grew, not violently, but steadily. They knew, but knowing did not change anything. The first wave struck without warning, not large, but precise. The second wave followed, larger. The third broke the rhythm. Water entered the boat. Panic was controlled, not eliminated. They worked, bailing, adjusting, holding. But the storm was no longer outside. It had entered. The horizon disappeared. Direction became meaningless. Up and down replaced forward and back. The sea surrounded, consumed, closed. The boat began to fail, not dramatically. Gradually, wood strained, ropes snapped, balance shifted. The turning point came when the engine died. Silence, not calm, but absence. The sea took control. They tried to steer. There was nowhere to steer. They tried to anchor. There was nothing to hold. The storm intensified and then stopped, not faded, stopped. The sea became still, too still. The boat floated, alone. But something remained. Movement beneath, slow, massive, circling. The water shifted, not with waves, but with presence. And the realization came too late. They had not survived the storm. They had entered something else. The climb was never meant to be easy, but it was never meant to end. The air thinned quickly, each breath shorter than the last. The path narrowed, edges dropped into nothingness. They moved carefully, precisely, but the mountain was not stable. Rocks shifted, snow loosened, wind pushed. The first fall was small, but enough. Balance was lost, fear followed. The climb became a descent, uncontrolled, unrecoverable, and the mountain did not release them. Not every story ends with survival. Some end with understanding. The forest traps, the desert watches, the sea consumes, the mountain keeps, and in each place, the same truth remains. Escape is not always possible. Sometimes, the environment does not need to chase. It only needs to wait, and when it does, it always wins. If you're still here, you've just witnessed something most people would turn away from. Stay close. There are more stories, and they are not finished with us. Subscribe now and join our growing community of horror enthusiasts. Hit the notification bell to never miss a chilling upload, because the shadows are watching and the screams are only beginning.